Hello, everyone. Sorry about the delay. That's my fault. I set it up like an absolute idiot. Welcome back to another video, and got two very beautiful guests alongside me today. Uh, how you all doing? You good? You good, you guys?
All good. Always good.
It's
I'm always good, man.
LB's and Novin's first time on the channel. I've been so fucking hermit crabby on this channel unintentionally, just kind of surviving and getting through. And I thought it'd be good to get some fresh faces on here, especially faces such as your two, in the city world. Novins, welcome as well, man. You good?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a privilege and a pleasure.
We were just chatting previously. Honestly, I'd wish I'd pressed live immediately because Novin's introduced the stream you call with "Good Evening," and then we were chatting about how apparently Spanish people can't pronounce the the V sound. Hence, Pep talking about vomits, which is interesting. And Novin's came up with I don't even know if it's even PG. I don't even know what to go there, to be honest. But we'll do that another day. God, I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm waffling absolute nonsense today. Anyway, LB, of course, you know LB and you know Nobbins. We're here to talk about loads of news. Have you guys seen the Musiala links, by the way? Yeah.
Very interesting.
What's your take on that, Nobbins, mate? Because that's like, is he a player you want at Manchester City?
Well, I love Musiala. He's one of my favorite players to watch. I actually prefer watching him to Foden. I obviously really interested. No, I know that's sacrilegious.
I know. All right, see you later, pal. Bye bye.
No, but I just adore how he plays football. So obviously really excited by the links. What I would say about it though is I'm not 100% convinced it's the player that we need personally. I think that Musiala is a very similar sort of player to Foden in terms of like where their strengths are. Maybe even where their weaknesses are as well. I personally think that we need to be going for a different profile of player rather than Musiala, who, as I say, for me, is a little bit too similar in terms of what Foden currently offers this City side, in respect of, emphasis towards, playing in the pockets and being that sort of player.
Yeah.
So that's my personal take on it. Again, if we sign Musiala, I'm not going to complain. I just think that there are maybe other areas that we need to be focusing on before we look at a player like Musiala.
This link's come from my best mate, Miguel Delaney. I can't stand him, man. He's generally got me blocked on Twitter for various other reasons going back. He mainly blocked me once because he said, he said The Dark Knight, the other film, was objectively bad. I was like, you can't see a film is objectively bad like that as if he was a expert at filmmaking. And I said, that's just a stupid opinion. And he's hated me ever since, which is ridiculous. And he's blocked me, but it's been shared.
And that's a great film as well, so he's doubly wrong.
What's he on about? And he also said Pep, Pep's Barca should have won 4 Champions League in a row. Like should have. Like it was a failure to win. And I was like, these you can't just use. Like, who are you to say these things? Like, you are not the. And he doesn't like being told he's not a god amongst men. But either way, Miguel Delaney is reporting that City are one of the major clubs apparently of interest in signing Musiala and are apparently head of the pack. LB, do you want Musiala at Man City, or do you share the concerns that Nobbins got about where you fit in?
A little bit, but let's be real here, yeah. There's 3 up and coming players that are not our football club that you want at your club: Jude Bellingham, Musiala, Florian Wirtz. You can't get Jude Bellingham because you just got Real Madrid. Florian Wirtz ain't leaving Germany, and it looks like he's destined to go Bayern Munich. So it leaves one player that's really available, and that's Musiala. So whether or not you think he's the perfect fit, for me, I think you've got to go for one of the 3. They are the 3 players for me that like everyone's chasing. And I don't think I don't think Wirtz is getting out of Germany anytime soon. So you've got to go for Musiala. So, yeah, I mean, for me, in my personal opinion, I think Wirtz is the one. Wirtz is the one that I think is the more natural fit to sort of replace Kevin De Bruyne. But I just don't think you can get him. So you've kind of just got to go for Musiala by default because you can't just let these players just go somewhere else. Like, you've got to go and get them. So, yeah, I kind of hear what Nobbin said about the style. But for me, you just got to get him.
115 million. What do you reckon?
150.
I know I need that, man. Imagine the announcement. I think that's the one time. Do you know they do this whole like fee not announced kind of thing? I think the City would plaster that all over the website just to absolutely rub it in. But where does he even fit in? Like, so if we do get him, Robbins, mate, like, how do we? Is it a case of that? Does Foden then become the one that Pep trusts a little bit? Because obviously Foden would be more. Not that he doesn't trust him, but maybe the guy who trusts to be a bit more well-rounded because obviously he's been in his system. And you argue that Phil started to learn the defensive side. He's getting a little bit more, balancing his game. Could it be that he becomes the sort of alongside a Rodri, he becomes more senior. Musiala goes a bit more of a 10. And Pep's always said, by the way, he'll be complete when he's ready to play alongside Rodri, didn't he? Could you see him on that sort of transition eventually?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think it was in like 2020 because I did a video a while ago on whether Foden and De Bruyne can play midfield, and I was researching like quotes from Pep about Foden, and like 2020, he said something like, one day he will be able to play the more defensive positions, which suggests, obviously not defensive midfield. So that would suggest to me maybe more like a Gundogan type sort of position or role. Whether that's still his thinking, I'm not sure. But yes, that's a really interesting question. My first thought was, could we maybe have a system which Germany had recently, in their game against France, where they actually had 3 10s, if you will, like they had Musiala and Gundogan and Wirtz all on the same team, but they were sort of like rotating between the wings and the midfield. I think they beat France. They beat them. Was it 2-0 in France?
Fair enough. Then it worked. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, it worked very well. Yeah. Now whether we want to do something like that, I'm not sure. Maybe Foden adding that defensive string to his bow, that could be a potential. I really like that as an idea. But again, for me, I just echo. I think we need someone more like a Paquetá, for example. I think he's
this will be an addition, though, Nobbins.
I agree.
This will be an addition to Lucas Paquetá.
So I can accept that, but then but I also think we need to be signing someone like a Bruno Guimaraes, like an 8-6 sort of player. So is it practical or realistic to think we're going to sign all 3 of them?
Do you know? I think if we're signing Paquetá, then that's the idea. I think he will play a bit deeper. I know that he's not instinctively there, but I do feel that would be the plan, surely, because Paquetá is a very well-rounded player. He's tenacious. He's not naturally a sitter, but he's obviously very comfortable receiving the ball from the defenders. He's technically excellent, very versatile. Could he be the one, to sit a little bit deeper alongside Rodri? But then, of course, how do you fit in? I don't even.
I think he definitely could sit alongside. My main concern is, as I think we're going to be discussing in this stream, that we need a player who can also just outright replace Rodri when he's not playing. I have my concerns about whether Paquetá could do that out and out on his own. I think he could play in that position alongside a Rodri. I just don't know whether he could do what Rodri does when Rodri's not on the pitch. Do you think he could?
No, I don't think he could. I don't think he could at all. No. Here's the problem: is we signed Nunes, which we should never have signed. That was a panic buy. And now we're stuck with a player who, let's be honest, no one even knows where he's going to play. And Kovacic is not so much of an issue because he's 29 going on 30. He might already be 30.
Yeah.
So that's a short-term deal. If Nunes is not in the equation, I don't think it's an issue. Because you've got to accept as well that Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, he might even leave this summer, but he's probably going to have 1 more year. I don't see him staying for much longer than a year, to be honest with you. So even if we do get Lucas Paquetá, Musiala in, I don't really see that as a major issue. Obviously, the issue that I then see is who can be our 6. But if you get rid of Nunes, which, is possible, even though he's only been a year, because I just don't see where he's going to play in this team, then you could potentially get like a Bruno in or a Kimmich to play that role.
I think they'd just ignore him, like not in a bad way, just be like, well, you're here, you stay, you wait around. I know it's a lot of money for someone to sort of just make up the numbers, but I think they'd just say, basically what the biggest problem I've always got with this year's side is it's still brilliant, don't get me wrong, but you used to look at every Pep side, it's just full of genius midfielders, like genius ones. And we've got a couple, 2 or 3 now. We had 3 this season until Calvin left that you wouldn't call geniuses, and that's so unlike a Manchester City side. And you cast your mind back to midfielders being Bernardo, David, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Yaya, whatever, Phil. And Kovacic, I think he's a really good footballer. Nunes and Calvin Phillips not even close to that level of being a genius. Could he be that? I think Pep is like, I need my midfielders. This is what makes my team tick. I wouldn't be surprised if he said, just sign him anyway. Nunes, if he wants to hang around, fine, but he's going to have to accept that it's going to be limited. And we've got a small squad and we have got the spaces there. So I don't know if he has to go. It'd be sensible for him, but I don't know.
He's just not going to play, is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the only issue, because Pep clearly doesn't trust him in any position at the moment. He's not a DM. Could he play next to Rodri? Potentially, but he prefers Kovacic for obvious reasons. Yeah. He's not the creator. I thought he played well in that game. Was it against Bournemouth when he played left wing? I thought he actually played all right there, but we've not seen him play there since then. So yeah, listen, for me, if it was me, yeah, honestly, I'd look at selling Nunes. Obviously, Bernardo Silva's probably going to leave. I see Lucas Paqueta as a natural replacement for Bernardo Silva. So that's one in, one out.
Agree.
You get Musiala in, who's not really the same style, but he's effectively like KDB replacement, for when KDB goes in probably 18 months, maybe this summer. And then you go and get your Bruno, your Kimmich, and that person just replaces Nunes. That's for me. It's like
Phillips,
literally how you do it.
Technically Phillips, because he was in the squad too. You
want to say Phillips, but like I'd imagine that. I'd imagine that Nunes' minutes will dry up even more next year. So that's how I'd go with it. And I think I don't even think that's like overkill. I don't even think that's like too many players. Like remember as well, there's a couple of extra Champions League games next year. It might allow us to have actually a proper go at the Carabao Cup because Pep's just clearly not taking that trophy seriously at the moment for obvious reasons. And then of course you've got the Club World Cup as well in the summer. So I think we need. I don't even think it's a bad thing. I think we could do with an extra player in the squad.
Yeah, same. I mean, I every single time we have one injury, we've got Susaho on the bench, and I don't mind having academy lads on the bench, but you can tell that our squad gets frayed and thinned very quickly. And I've always felt like, and it's weird because you can't argue with it because we just want a treble, so it obviously works. But there's an element of like another player or two wouldn't go amiss, surely, in a senior one. Watch Nunes turn into a right back now. That's probably Pep's next evolution or something. I think weirdly that's my shout, but it's not gonna happen. But I don't know about Nunes if he'll stay or not. B in the chat says, should we sell him after one season? Nunes.
I'd sell him after one season if it was me. It's not because I don't like him. I like him. I think he's a good player. I just don't see where he's going to fit into the squad.
He just needs 2 or 3 years, doesn't he, I reckon, to get to whatever he's going to be at City. But we haven't got time to wait for that, have we?
It's not even that, though, Steve. It's the fact that, like, no one even knows what his position is in this team or, like, his role is in this team. Like, with other players, like Mahrez when he come in, with Grealish when he come in, like Bernardo Silva when he come in, we all knew what the position was. Like, if I honestly said to you, like, what is Nunes' role in the team? Like, you couldn't answer it.
I guess like the other
not a Manchester City player, is he? Go on, Robbins.
I should say the other issue with it is you've got to ask the very harsh question of, I like Nunes, but you've got to ask the harsh question of, had we signed Paquetá, would Nunes be a City player right now? I think the answer to that is probably no. So if we're looking to now get Paquetá in this summer or whatever, then the questions need to be asked, to be honest. And I like Nunes as well, but it is tricky. It is tricky.
It's not a bad swap from that, by the way. London lifestyle, go to West Ham. You never know. Swaps never happen in football, but that would be a really sensible one if you could convince him to do one, which I feel harsh on him because obviously he's reached a level where he sort of deserves to be. But I don't know. My problem with Nunes is that I look at him and I don't see the attributes that you associate with Man City midfielders. I like a De Bruyne, a genius passer. Bernardo Silva, ball sticks to him like glue. David Silva, or Gundogan, just that pause or whatever. Nunes doesn't have any of those attributes. He's essentially a counter-attacker, isn't he? He's a direct runner and aggressive, but without the nuance that comes with a City player. So, you know what he is? He's an early Klopp player at Liverpool. That's what he is, but that's not a Manchester City thing.
I think he would fit into a Liverpool team quite well, actually.
Yeah,
he just doesn't
running.
Listen, just to clarify, I actually like the guy as a player. I think he's quite exciting. I think he's a good football player, but that's not the question that we're asking. The question is, does he fit into the City team? And a world with colour there says most City signings have needed a time and had their positions adjusted. Have they really, though? Did Mahrez have his position adjusted? Did Grealish have his position adjusted? Did Rodri have his position adjusted? A lot of these players just played in the normal position and just got better. That's not the issue with Nunes. We don't know his position. So, listen, I don't think he'll be sold. I'd sell him if it was me, I'd sell him in the summer, but I don't think he will be sold. And I hope it works out because, like I say, I actually like this guy. Like with Phillips, I always knew that this guy was not good enough. You know what I mean? Like we all deep down knew that like Phillips was never good enough, like really. But like Nunes, I actually think like he is a good player, but I just don't see where he fits. That's the only problem with him.
Well, we'll see. We'll see with Nunes. And Musiala, back to him anyway, would be. Look, I don't know. It's one of those transfers. I don't know if it'll happen. It's one of those things where I think City want it, but I'm just expecting Musiala to announce a new contract in the summer, with a 100 grand pay rise or whatever, and it just feels that way, doesn't it? Like because at the same time, who knows? He'd be a fantastic player, and I don't know where he'd fit, but you'd take him in a heartbeat because he's a brilliant footballer. I know we haven't got loads and loads and loads of time on this video, so I wanted to also talk about Rodri as well because. There's rumours going around, and not rumours. Rodri said it himself, actually, in quotes, that he needs a rest. And obviously, this links back to what we just discussed. We just do not have a direct replacement. And we don't know how to replace him. We don't know how to mix it up and sort of kind of just keep him off the pitch and find a way to not be terrible, because that seems to be our Achilles heel. But what games, like, if you were Pep now, LB, like, when do you rest Rodri? Do you rest Rodri? And if so, who's in his position? Because it's difficult.
Well, funny enough, I'm quite surprised and a little bit disappointed that when Rodri got his suspension early in the season, he didn't give Nunes a go at number 6.
It's not good
I,
enough.
yeah. Well, just to try him, because one of the
Yeah,
games was the Newcastle game, right, in the cup, which he obviously didn't care about that much based off the starting 11. Like, he should have really tried him there just to see if it was possible. I would probably. I don't want to do this, but I would probably rest him for this weekend's game against Luton Town. In terms of what you do, I don't know who you play as a 6 there, to be honest with you. I think you just kind of go with Kevin's obviously got to start this Saturday, given the fact he didn't start against Madrid. I'd start Kevin, and then you might get away with Nunes and Kovacic in the middle. It's not ideal. It's not that attacking when you're at home against Luton Town, but Nunes and Kev should give you enough, really, to create enough chances. From there, you got to play him against Madrid. You got to play him against Chelsea. You got to play him against Brighton. There's 5 days in between there, though. I think basically you just got to play him in every game after that. I mean, it's not actually that bad. I'm looking at it now. Obviously, the semi-final of the Champions League isn't in here, so we don't know. Obviously, that we're gonna make that. But there's 5 days in between Chelsea and Brighton. There's 3 or 4 days in between Brighton and Forest. There's a good week in between Forest and Wolves. So it's not that bad, but I just think you've got to play him every game then till the rest of the season. And you're probably going to have to trust your squad a little bit, especially in the home games. If you go 2-0 up, you might just have to take him off after 60 minutes, even if you're 2-0 up. I know it's not ideal because, probably don't trust the team that much to see it out this season, but you just got to trust the team will do it.
Yeah. I don't agree with the comment. Well, I don't know. It's interesting what you guys think. And by the way, thanks for all the comments and give the video a like. It does help. And of course, subscribe to these guys. You already have anyway. But yeah, someone said in the chat, where was it? Queen V said that it was unprofessional of Rodri to make those statements. I'm not sure that's fair. I don't think it's I don't know how you guys feel, but I'll bring it on screen right now. But I don't know if it's unfair to play to say I'm tired. Essentially, that's all he said. And the guy played an awful lot of football.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's unprofessional. Our football club not buying a proper DM to cover cover Rodri and running him into the ground. I done the maths on it this season. I think he's going to end up playing like 65 matches for club and country this year. And that doesn't include the Euros, which is about to happen after the season. That's unprofessional. A player coming out saying, "I'm knackered." And by the way, the proof's in the pudding, because look at how he played against Palace. Look at how he played against Real Madrid.
He was panting against Madrid, wasn't he? One counter attack. Didn't even chase
he's
back.
knackered. He's absolutely knackered. So I'd rather him come out and say, "I'm knackered. Hello, I need a rest," rather than just keep playing and playing and playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, realistically, there's only 2 matches that we can rest him in, and that's home against Luton, and that's like the FA Cup game against Chelsea. I don't want to rest him in the FA Cup in a semi-final, but we obviously can't rest him for any Champions League games. And post Luton at home, I don't think there's any other games where you look at that. And no disrespect to Luton, obviously they're a good side. But there's no other teams where you look at it and go, "Oh yeah, that's like a game where we can definitely do without Rodri." So the opportunities to rest him are at a premium. If it's not now, then when is it? As I say, outside the FA Cup game, because it's the FA Cup, I don't think he should be rested for that game. There are no other opportunities. So he sort of had to come out and like almost indirectly begging you, and please give me a rest because I am dying here.
I did read the comment, by the way. It sounds to me something that it literally says it was planned. He says, "I do need a rest. It is something we are planning. Let's see how we speak, how we live the situation." When he says something we are planning, I don't think Rodri would have said it unless they would have discussed it before. And I get the impression that it would have been a sort of agreement. I hope as soon as they had the Madrid game, they went literally, just go home until Tuesday. Literally, see you next Tuesday. Then I reckon they just did that and say, like, don't come in, go, just fly home if you want to. Spend 2-3 days on the beach in Spain and just chill because we don't need you at the weekend. I wouldn't even have him in the squad personally.
I actually agree, Steve. I would have done the same thing if I was the manager. I said, "I don't want you just rested, mate. I want you to go back to Spain and go on a beach and just chill out for a few days." But listen, Cal's right in the chat. You might have to be brave as well. Yeah, and if you go 2-0 up against some of these sides coming up, you might just have to risk it and take him off and just hope that the team. I mean, let's be honest, right? If you're 2-0 up with 35 minutes to go and this team crumbles, like, that's just poor. So I agree with Carl. Obviously depending on the team, like probably try the home games more than the away games. But if you go like 2-0 up against Wolves, or even 2-0 up against Brighton away, they're not great at the moment. You just have to take him off and just you just can't accept like 2-0 up and then the team will just throw it away just because Rodri's not there. Like, we don't deserve to win the league if that's the case. So I'm with Carl in the chat. I probably gamble a little bit in the 2-0 leads.
I agree. The thing is, as well, on that point is like, look at the players that would come on at a 2-0. It'd be Kovacic or Rico Lewis. These players would start for these other teams anyway. I never buy this idea that, it's less than Rodri, but they're still quality players that would start for, I don't know, Wolves, Brighton, whoever. So we can't like we're being like hard done by or whatever. Ian with a super chat. Thank you so much, my mate. Says, what about a kid playing DM and fire collab? Indeed. Cheers, pal. It's good getting these people. I'm going to have more people on the channel. I'm blaming Ruben, my son, for being exhausted all the time. I thought I actually send some messages, and these guys are legends. What about a kid playing DM? I don't know about that, because the only thing I would say is like Suzaho's a really good player, Jacob Wright as well, but it's a lot in it in a Manchester City side, Nobbins, to be the guy to sort of anchor a team at the expectation that City you've got in a title race, in a Champions League race. Is it a bit too much, or should we throw more caution to the wind?
It's at this stage in the season where like every single game is a must win. It's a nice idea, but it's too risky to do that. We need to be a bit more conservative, I think. LB mentioned, like a midfield pivot of like Kovacic, Nunes. It's not ideal, but I think given the players we have, it's probably the best we could do. Maybe, Bernardo, Nunes, or a combination therein. But yeah, we definitely have the players to make it work, either when we are already leading or if we're against like, quote unquote lesser opposition. It's definitely there's always a solution.
Good point here from Ramberg as well with another super chat. It said we won 6-2 versus Luton away. Nunes and Kovacic both midfield behind De Bruyne. I thought we played really well then. It was direct football. I mean, that seems almost, if that's what we've done previously, I've totally forgot about that, to be fair. That's a blueprint for it already, isn't it? No pun intended. You presume that's what Pep might try at the weekend, because they're both, once again, good enough, like the way that Luton play. It's either that or Rico.
That's the phrase there, Steve. It's good enough. Yeah. Is it optimal? Is it the best? No, but unfortunately, we don't have the midfield personnel to be able to play the best in every game now to the season. So what you've got to put out, a starting 11 that is good enough to win. And where, even though you might make a few changes, you might have to rest Rodri, where even if you did drop points, you come away thinking there's no excuse. You know what I mean? So Nunes, Kovacic, and De Bruyne. Is it perfect? No. Is it ideal? No. Is it optimal? No. But it's good enough to beat Luton at home.
It has to be.
That's just a fact.
And you're right to say, I mean, if we can't beat them with those players, with all due respect to Luton, and absolutely mean that, then we don't deserve to win the league. Ultimately, we don't deserve to. And it's like, it's only our own fault. We can't just flog Rodri until he's dead, so we lose him anyway. If we can't use a £50 million Nunes, who would start for Luton once again, or £30 million multiple Champions League winner Kovacic, or Rico Lewis, England international. These players are clearly good enough, and it's just part. It's sort of, we've made the bed, we've got to lie in it, basically, haven't we? Like, it's one of those things where I don't know. I think I would do that. I think I would rest him this weekend. He's got to get rested. I think we all know that. I wouldn't even have him in the squad. He has to play against Chelsea, in my opinion. Do you share that view, or Nobbins, or would it be Madrid, Chelsea off?
No, he's got to. I was just looking at that as like a half potential option, but no, like we can't not play RDM in a semi-final of an FA Cup. No, if he's available, he's got to start. 100%.
But will Pep do it though? Because he's done stuff like that before, hasn't he? He's rested players. Do you remember when we rested in against Chelsea previously? I think, was it rested players, and was that the one Aguero? No, it was the league, wasn't it? Where he fluffed the pen. But we did rest some players in a Chelsea semi-final against Chelsea, didn't we? A few years back. I swear we did. 2-3 years ago.
I can't even remember that, to be honest.
We had Chelsea, remember, like twice in a week or two.
I vaguely remember that.
And then it was like frustrating. And then of course they've got it's the same year the Champions League final, I think.
But then we would have had Gundogan, who would have been able to deputise quite easily there. So it's not the step down going from Rodri 6 to Gundogan 6 is or Fernandinho 6 is very, very minimal compared to what it is now, where it's Rodri to anyone else in the squad. And this is why it's imperative that we need to sign a proper Gundogan replacement in the summer, so that we can give Rodri a proper rest and just play whoever that replacement is as an out-and-out Rodri replacement.
Do you so you got obviously Luton, then you got Madrid, Chelsea, Brighton. Then you got Forest. Do you just not play him away at Forest, Rodri, if you need that rest again?
You have to play him at Forest. I think this is the only opportunity against Luton.
You fucked Rodri, basically. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's like, enjoy this weekend off, bro, because after this, you're literally playing every single game for the rest of the season, which is why when you do go 2-0 up, you got to gamble, in my opinion, and just take him off. And like, and let's be honest, right? If you go 2-0 up against these teams, yes, it's the Premier League. Yes, anything can happen. But you know, even all the fixtures, because obviously you wouldn't do it against Spurs, but all the fixtures, Brighton away, Forest, Wolves, Fulham, even West Ham, we're not going to do it last game of the season. But like, you're telling me that you can't see that out. You can't see. It's not possible. So this is the last game. This is it. If you want to rest him, this is the weekend. And I'd send him back to Spain, man.
We haven't talked about the Stones option. Do you think there's potential there, Nobbins?
No, I love Stones, but he's not. He's not a. There's a big difference between a centre back who pushes up into the midfields to become that sort of player, and then someone who starts in that position and is in that position across the entire game. Yeah. We saw it against Aston Villa. No disrespect to Stones, but he just couldn't do it at Villa Park earlier in the season when Rodri wasn't available. Stones was given that task. As good as Stones is on the ball.
Different to Luton, to be fair, at home, I would argue. You know, there's a big difference.
Sure.
Villa, Villa away. The Villa away, everyone was terrible. They were brilliant, And I don't think you're wrong for what it's worth. I'm just saying it is worth making that distinction.
No, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I totally accept that. It's just more so that Stones is fine in terms of like the receiving under pressure points of view. With his back to play, that's absolutely fine. But he's not the controlling influence that a Rodri is, or that I think a Kovacic can be. So that's why I think that personally, I probably more go for the Kova Nunes, Kova Bernardo, Kova Lewis angle rather than having a Stones in there.
Do you think Rico starts at the weekend, Delby? I think he pretty much deserves it based on his recent performances.
Yeah, I think so, because Walker, you won't play Walker, so I probably would play him. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's been doing so good recently. I think he deserves to start. And again, he can lean, if you're going to drop Rodri, he can lean more into that attacking side, you know what I mean, and drive forward with it. So, we all know that we have to just go for these games. Draws are losses for us at the moment. We have to win all our football matches. So you kind of just got to go for it. So yeah, I'd definitely play Rico and just, go for it.
On Rodri, and I already know what you think, Nobbins, about this because we've got a different opinion because I've seen you tweet about it. But I tweeted this. Yeah, you've seen it already. I tweeted early that I think Rodri could be the best 8 in the world. I think he could be. I think he's getting more and more attacking. I think he's developed tools that make him special, genuinely unique. And I tweeted that I would have Rodri pushing forward. He's a Gundogan replacement long term, in my opinion. I think he could be. Not he should be, but he could be. And you'd buy legs alongside him. I think that might have been the plan for Rice. I think the plan might have been the other way around, but eventually would have sorted it naturally out. I think you could do that, pushing forward and signing number 6. And now I know you don't agree with that, Nobbins. I would argue, and some replied to me on Twitter, Adam Bailey said, why would you not just play the best number 6 as a number 6? It's because I think he's more than a 6 now. I think if you suddenly tell him just to sit a bit deeper, which I think we have to stimulate the constant counterattacks, I think you lose so much of his ability. I know what you don't agree with this, I think, Nobbins, do you? Where do you stand on the Rodri situation as a potential further forward?
So I'm not against the idea of, Rodri on occasion being allowed to be that guy because he obviously is. I agree with you. He is basically complete. But I just think that if you've got the best 6 in the world, then it's more optimal to play him at 6. I appreciate that he has been given a more advanced position and role this season. But again, I don't think that's by design. The Declan Rice links. I think had we signed Rice, I'm sure we would have turned him into more of an 8. Actually, to be fair, how we're seeing him play at Arsenal now, Rice hasn't been playing at 6 for like the past few weeks. I feel like it's been Jorginho there. Yeah. So in my head, it was going to be like a base of Rice and Rodri, and then we get like a defender pushing out wide as Walker has done this season, but it's like a more offensive fullback. And I think the reason why I'd like that is because what's Rodri's biggest weakness? It's probably legs in counterattacks. What's Rice's biggest strength? Probably that, and dealing with counterattacks. So for me, we should be looking to sign an 8 who can play as a 6 rather than convert Rodri out and out into an 8 and sign an out and out 6. And that's partly because I think Rodri's better as a 6 than 8, but he can do both. But also, if you just look at the market for out-and-out defensive midfielders is relatively dry compared to the market for these more hybrid players, like João Neves, Bruno Guimaraes, that sort of 8-6 hybrid player. They're more readily available than, like, as I say, an out-and-out 6. So that's just why I would suggest. It's definitely something we can do. But I just don't know whether that was what Pep would have wanted to do going into this season. I don't know because I'm not Pep.
So, Nobbins, is what you're basically saying is, to summarize, we just need a Gundogan replacement, or we just need Gundogan.
Yeah,
you should never let Gundogan have left this football club, man.
That's exactly.
Did you see that photo of him in the suit as well for Barcelona?
Yeah,
I literally have a child and I'm married, and like, even I fancy him, man. Like, I looked at him like I was watching for Barca. Sort of, I felt like I was like browsing an ex's Instagram or something. I was like, oh, I love this guy so much. And I was like, Gundogan. Biggest mistake in Manchester City's recent history, probably, really, letting him go. I mean, I think we probably know how it happened, but they won't be. I don't even know. Maybe they will do it again, but stupid stuff. But he's gone. He's gone. And what would you do, LB? Are you against the idea of Rodri becoming a bit further forward, or do you think just keep him as a 6?
Yeah, I'm against it. I'm fully with Nobbins on this one. I think that we're asking Rodri to do something that he shouldn't be doing, and because he's just a mega footballer, now we're just like, oh, he should just play there. Whereas actually, what we should do is, in my opinion, is get someone who can do the Gundogan role, which is Gundogan. But obviously, like you say, the club messed up. Kimmich is an option. João Neves is someone that apparently we're looking at heavily, and Tiki really likes. So that's what I would do personally. I'd go for the Gundogan option. I just think that's the best option, because here's as well, right? You buy a DM, right, and the DM doesn't work, then we're just back in square one. Whereas if you buy the João Neves and the João Neves isn't really that great, then you still can play the system that we're playing this season with Rodri, Foden, and KDB. So I personally would go for the João Neveses and the Kimmiches. The Kimmich one's the one really that if they want an easy option, guaranteed winner, like just go and get Kimmich. Like,
does Paqueta fill that role as well potentially? The sort of like as the sort of
no, he doesn't because we're looking at someone who can play 6 as well.
Yes,
we're looking at someone who can do the Gundogan job where he's in the midfield next to KDB or Foden, but then when Rodri needs a rest or gets suspended, they can just slot back in and just play in that defensive position. And Paqueta's too advanced for that for me.
Yeah, I agree. I do think we'll go for Paqueta though, and I think we'll go for Musiala. So that sort of raises questions there, doesn't it? Like, what's he cooking, Pep? As always. I know you guys haven't got loads of time left, so we'll sort of end it there. But finally, just looking towards the Madrid game past Luton, which I know Pep would hate us for doing that, but fuck it, we're not Pep, so it's fine. How are you guys feeling ahead of the second leg, LB?
Pretty good. I banned myself from speaking about other than the next game. But given I'm not on my channel,
it's fine. It's,
the rules don't apply here. I'm feeling like as confident as you can feel. Like I was on another channel today that was like, yeah, you must be really, really confident. I'm like, it's Real Madrid. Like, come on, like you can't be sitting here saying it's a guaranteed win. But like for me, I thought we was poor on Tuesday. I thought at least half of our players had below par. That's what I mean by poor. At least half of our players had, in my opinion, below par performances. Yeah, I think Bernardo Silva, despite the goal, was pretty poor. Rodri was pretty poor. Who else was poor? I didn't think Diaz was that great either. I think Edison is definitely going to come in back for the next game because Ortega's distribution wasn't the best. So Kovacic, I didn't really know what he's meant to be doing. So despite that, we still drew the game.
Yeah.
Despite what I just said, we still got out of there with a 3-3. I also didn't feel Real Madrid were very good. I felt that their only real thing that threatened us was the counter-attack. When they had the ball and we had 10 men, 11 men behind the ball, I felt they were really, really quite poor. So if we can improve, Rodri can up his game because he wasn't great, and the Bernardos and these players can up the game, then I'm confident. And we're at home, we're at the Etihad. Yeah. So I think that we can I think that we can go through for sure. I'm confident we can do it.
Yeah, I think we'll be better. I don't think that some of those players will have games as poor as they did. I agree with that. I think the reasons why, I think there's a lot of tiredness and blah blah blah, etc. etc. And I think the energy. I think they really wanted it in Madrid. They really wanted it. You could tell, even if they didn't play that great. But yeah, what about yourself, Nobbins?
Yeah, I was buzzing about the fact we got a draw. If you said we were going to get a draw at the Bernabeu and just like take basically a 0-0 back to the Etihad, a bit in your arm off.
Amazing as well, which is probably pretty decent, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm just So I think that in terms of like our squad, unless there's like any new injuries, I'm not unsure. Unless there's like any injuries which I'm not a bit aware of, our squad should be in a bit better state in terms of like Ederson and Kyle Walker maybe coming back. Conversely, Real Madrid's squad will actually be weaker because they're not going to have Tchouaméni, who I thought played very well. So, yes, I'm as confident as you can be going into a Champions League tie against Real Madrid. We should win because we haven't lost a knockout game in the Champions League at home in 6 years, and that was against Liverpool. And that was a really weird game anyway. We're pretty good at the Etihad. We should be winning this game. I'm as confident as you can be. Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question? Would you drop Ruben? Would you drop Ruben Diaz for Tuesday? Because I think I would.
I don't think we've got the players yet, have we? Fully. It depends if Walker's back.
I think Walker will be. Well, I think Walker is going to be risked. So if it was me personally, I'd play Walker right back and I'd play Akanji and Stones and drop Diaz. Because if again you're thinking that Real Madrid's main threat is the counter attack, who's our slowest defender?
Yeah, there's something in that. To be fair, and he's not been afraid to put Diaz on the bench this season. He's done it a few times, hasn't he?
So a few times against,
and he's on a booking as well, isn't he?
Correct. He's also on a booking.
So when does it reset? Does it not reset after the quarters?
Yeah, but if you get a booking, then
of course, yeah. You've set yeah, you're right. There's a lot to be said that for that actually. So, if Walker's fit, I think there's a very strong shout at that actually, and I wouldn't be against that either because I don't think he's. Look, I'm always happy if Ruben Diaz plays. Whatever, he's a great player, but if he doesn't in this circumstance, I think there's something in that. Yeah, guys, thank you very very much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure, LB Nobbins. Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having us on the channel.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
and thank you for everyone for watching as well. It's been lovely stuff. Please give the video a like, and of course, if you haven't already, just go subscribe to these guys' channels. There's a link, of course, in the description. Find them over there. Loads of wonderful content. And cheers for watching. In a bit, come on, you Blues. See you next time. Bye-bye.